Okay, now that I learned that my demo lesson that I recorded last spring didn't have any sound, here we go. Chapter 3 demo, focusing on a lot of different things here, mainly something called absolute reference. And if you haven't already watched it, watch the video that precedes this in Google Classroom about understanding absolute reference, because that is a key element here in building of formulas and being able to copy formulas over a large range of data. Other thing we're getting into here is something called Sparklines and writing some additional formulas such as the now function, which is a time function, and a biggie here also called the if function, or a if then else statement. Takes me back to my glory days of computer programming, my junior year of high school. Yeah, that was a few years ago. And we're going to get into some advanced use of charts as well. So I've got the handout in front of me. I suggest you follow along. It's really helpful, again, if you can have the file up, the Chapter 3 start file, and work along with me to acquire the skill. So let's see here. First thing I'm going to do is apply the slice theme. Page layout and themes and slice. And hopefully you have Office 2019 where you can see the slice theme. Cell B3, the word January there. Now I want to turn that text on its side. I'm going to go to my Home tab, and up here in my alignment group, I have the orientation, which I'm going to click on. Format cell alignment. I could also get there, by the way, too, by just clicking on the dialog box launcher too, and that takes me to alignment as well. And over here you have this dial, an angular dial here with the line that's currently horizontal. Now if I left click and hold on that line, I can go back and forth. And I'm going to take that up to 75 degrees. I can also type in degrees right there on the right. Click OK. And there's that. And I've got my text at an angle. Now I want to autofill that over. Bottom right, B3, get your fill handle in there. And again, Excel recognizes you're dealing with months. So if I drag that over, it fills in the months. Now increasing column widths. I'm going to go up to column A. And I want to make that 38.5. Now, two ways I can do that. One is just get your crosshair there between A and B. I'm going to check my width up there on my indicator. 38 point. Can he do it? And I'm bouncing all over the place. I'm doing everything but 38.5. Okay, I give up. I'm going to right click. The other way I can set the column width is just right click and say column width 38.5. That was interesting, huh? Okay. I also want to select columns. Let's see here. Columns B through G. So I'm going to left click and hold on the letter B. Drag over to G. And between any two columns, get your crosshair. And again, you can either do your column width by typing it in or using your indicator. And I'm looking for a column width here of 15, which hopefully I don't mess around as much this time. There we go. 15 even. There we go. 15 even. Then finally, column H. I'm just going to right click on column H and column width there of 18. Whoops. 18. Once again, live video, right? Okay, there we have that. Let's see here. Let's click on A5. I want to indent or push that text over. So up in my alignment group, I'm going to click on increase indent. Then I'm going to do the same with selecting with my white cross, selection cross there. Left click and hold, select A9 through A13 and increase indent on that. All right. Now I want to come down here at the bottom and I want to do some editing here. I want to insert a row. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the number 20 for row 20, right click on right on 20 and say insert. That inserts a row above that. I'm going to call this, bottom left, page 2 on the handout, by the way, whoops, it's spelled right here, sales revenue for bonus. That's going to be a goal amount, which we're going to write a formula on later, check mark. Then right click on row number 19 and row 19 and insert. And we're going to call this margin. Now, wait a second, hold on, undo here. Undo. I'm going to back out here just a second. I didn't quite do that right. Let's right click on row 19 again. I just hit the oops button up there and insert. What I meant to do was down here in the insert options, I want to select format same as below. Sorry about that. I don't want to apply the formatting up above, the formatting below. I'm going to call this margin. Or how much a company makes by reselling a product, buying it from one. Take like Les Schwab. Maybe they buy a tire for $100. They turn around and sell it for $200. Well, they just made a margin of $100, or 50% of what they sold it for was the cost of their goods. Anyway, margin, how much money you make from reselling stuff. So there's margin. I've inserted some rows. I'm going to copy in my cheater data. Click on that cheater data tab down there at the bottom. Highlight your text there. B19 through B25. Copy. Pop that into B19. Paste. Except in your paste options, select, let's just select formulas and number. Let's see, what was I going to do here? Yeah, formulas and number formatting. Third option up there. So I keep my formatting. And now I'm on to page 3, up to H1. And I want to drop in the system date there. And we're going to spend a lot of time over here where it says FX, insert function, which is also known as the function wizard. And the cool thing about this is that no matter how complex things get, you can always depend on that function wizard to kind of walk you through, hold your hand if you like, as you go through a creating of a formula using a function. So insert function. And I'm looking for the now function. On your computer, you probably can't see it. So up above here where it says search for a function, I'm going to say now and go. And it drops it into my select a function area down below here. And it remembers the stuff I've done recently. Click OK. It says this formula result is volatile. Returns the current date and time formatted as a date and time. This function takes no arguments. Remember, an argument is what's in the parentheses. Well, look on my formula there. There's nothing in the parentheses. We call that a null, N-U-L-L, or nothing argument. Okay? And what it's doing is it's reading our computer clock and putting in the current date and time. Now, I don't want to format it like that. I'm going to go up here. I'm still on H1. I'm going to go up to my dialog box launcher and my number format group. I'm going to say date. And understand Microsoft uses, for some reason, March 14th, 2012 as its default sample date. And I want a date that looks like this with the year, month, day. That's kind of like an English version of a date. And I select that as my type. And up above, it's going to show me using today's date what actually today's date will look like. Click OK. And that is now formatted. Okay. Now it's time to build a formula. B5. One more time, I'm going to say, if you haven't already watched the Understanding Absolute Reference video, please watch that first. Because I'm going to go quickly through this. And if you haven't already watched that, it's going to be like, woo, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So equal sign, cost of goods sold. This is how much a company pays to buy the product that they sell you as resellers. And I'm going to use the example of Les Schwab with tires. Cost of goods sold is how much they're paying all those manufacturers, Toyo and whoever else for the tires. So I'm going to say equals B4, my revenue, times, left parenthesis, order of operations, 1 minus, scroll bar on the far right, my margin. And the margin, again, is how much or what percent the company earns by reselling a product. Now, 81% is a huge margin. Grocery stores only make about 5%. So in other words, they buy it for 95 cents and they sell it to you for $1. It's very thin. This would be a very high margin product. What are we talking about here? Department store? I can't believe a department store has 81% margin, but whatever. Okay. Now I'm going to want to copy this formula over. Now B4 is going to change to C4 and D4 as I go over on the months. But I want to make sure that as I copy it over, this formula stays pointed at my margin percentage of B19. And if you recall in watching that previous video, you need to make this an absolute reference by clicking on your F4, function key 4, get dollar signs to the left of the column letter and the row number. The dollar signs are not money, again, there are locks, which means the column is locked and the row is locked. Close that with a right parenthesis, get your check mark. And essentially, in order to sell $1.4 million of product, they had to pay $275,000. That's a very good margin. Gross margin is how much money they made through the resale process. They bought it so much, they sold it for so much. There's no other expenses yet calculated into that ratio or that amount. So I'm just going to say equals B4 using my click method minus B5 and check mark. 1.2 million essentially. Okay, let's come down here to B9, function wizard. And I'm going to click on, you should be able to see this down here in a selective function, the if function, and okay. And I use the example of a spaghetti strainer. You have the noodles and the water, and you use a strainer and you pour the noodles and the water in it. The water goes through the holes. You got your noodles left. Think of the logical test as being like your spaghetti strainer. All right. So I'm going to say, and again, we're going to give our employees a bonus if they sell a certain amount of product. So I'm going to say my logical test or my spaghetti strainer is going to be B4. Now humor me for a second. Stop just for a moment. This is my patent, and I hope you can see me okay. I'm looking on the video, which I can. Go like this with me, please. And so, because a lot of you can't discern between what is greater than and what is less than. So here we have two symbols, this one and this one. What's this symbol? It's the less than symbol. What's this symbol? The greater than symbol. This is my left hand. This is my right hand. Left hand kind of sounds like what? Less than. Left hand, less than. Right hand, greater than. Left hand, less than. Right hand, greater than. That's my own invention. That was actually caught fire at Wahi. Now I'm going to say B4 greater than. Turning my back to you. Right hand over here. B4 greater than or equal to. We just type equal after that. Greater than or equal to, and my bonus goal is B21. And one more time, I'm going to be copying that formula over. I want the B4 to change as the column changes, but I don't want my sales revenue for bonus number to change. So once again, F4 to lock that down so it doesn't move around on us. If that's true, I'm going to pay my employees a $5,000 bonus, which is subject to change. So I'm going to click on B20. So don't just type in 5,000, put a variable in there. And one more time, I'm going to be copying that formula over. So I want to lock it down again with F4. If they don't reach the sales goal, they don't get a bonus, 0. You can see my sample value for this month, January, is 5,000. If then else statement. Okay, go down to total expenses, auto sum, check mark. Operating income, Did we make money that month or not after we pay all of our expenses and take that away from gross margin? Equals B6 minus B14. And if you have a negative number here, you're probably not going to be in business very long. You know, those of you that want to be entrepreneurs or run your own business, this is the big thing right here is, are you making money at the end of the day after paying everything? Check mark. Okay. Now we did the heavy lifting here with all those formulas. We don't need to recreate them. So with our white cross, we're going to select B5 through B16. Fill handle, bottom right, B16, drag over to G. Now you should see different amounts of 5,000 up there. You should see cost of goods, which maintains, it should be maintained and stay pretty close. Nothing too wild up there. If you've got weird calculations, it's because you did not use your absolute reference. And probably you didn't watch the video that I asked you to watch. Okay, totals over here, non-adjacent ranges. With your white cross, select H4 through H6. Remember, non-adjacent ranges, we hold down our control key. H9 through H14, and then H16. Just keep your control key held down after you select that first range. You can select all kinds of stuff. I'm going to click on my home tab up on Auto Sum. It's going to fill in row totals for me. Double check that number. You should have 3.3 million plus change there for your total operating income for your 6-month budget. And by the way, if you think this is kind of random, this is almost exactly what I did in industry. We did budgets like 6 months at a time. I'll tell you about it later. All righty, where am I at here? I just totally lost track. I went on to bottom page 4. Okay, and I'm over at I4 and something called a Sparkline, which is kind of just a thumbnail chart in the middle of my worksheet. Kind of fun. Insert, and in my Sparklines area, I'm going to click on line, and that pops my little wizard, and it says, what data range are you essentially creating a graph for, a chart for, I should say. And again, I'm just going to left click and hold and select B4 through G4, everything on that first line, and it's going to put my line chart at cell I4. Pretty easy. Click OK. And I have a kind of a random looking graphical representation of those numbers. Now, we've worked with data bars before. It's another thing where you've got this graphic thing in the middle of a cell. Now, the cool thing about this is all you have to do is just autofill it with your black cross, autofill it down, and it fills in. This doesn't really tell me a whole lot because they all kind of look the same, don't they? Other than my bonus, which kind of goes up or down. And I can decide later on and go, I want to change that with all that selected. I want to change this, say, to column. That kind of looks the same too. I don't know. It's graphic stuff. If the data was a little bit more variable, it would make maybe a little bit more meaning. And you may get questions also about marker color, sparkline color, the style, changing the style up here. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with Sparklines. I can't say I've ever used Sparklines that much with an industry. Okay, it's time to format our numbers. I'm going to deviate from the instructions a little bit. Whatever company you work for, they will have their own little formatting culture, like how they want their worksheets formatted. I'll just show you what I would prefer to use. And with my white cross, I'm going to select B4 through H6. Essentially, I'm about ready to select just all of the numbers. Hold down my control key, select B9 through H14. Keep your control key down, B16 through H16. All my numbers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize it a little bit so we can see the whole thing here. I'm going to click on my number dialog box launcher. I'm going to select the currency format. Because I'm working with operating income, which could be negative, maybe it's a report I give to a banker or an investment manager or somebody that's investing in my company, I want negative numbers to be very obvious. I don't want them to just get slipped in and, oh, surprise, that was negative $1 million, not positive $1 million. Don't want to do that. So I'm going to click on the fourth formatting option down there, negative numbers in red. And because this is a budget, I do not need cents in here. I don't need decimal places. So I'm going to get rid of my decimal places and say 0 with a symbol of $1. And remember, with currency format as opposed to accounting format, the dollar number floats to the left of the first digit of the number. Click OK. And you can see the dollar number floating. Remember, accounting number format, the dollar symbol is in a fixed location that doesn't move on the left side of the cell. So I've formatted my numbers. My report is taking shape here. Okay. Formatting. Format Painter. I'm going to click on A4. A4. And up here in my home tab in the clipboard area, double click on your Format Painter. Double click. And you come down and it's locked and loaded. I'm going to click on A6 and A16. I'm not going to fill in the rest down here for now. Otherwise, I got to go back and format that again. I don't want to do that just because. All right. And to turn off my Format Painter, I either go back and click on the Format Painter, or I can hit my ESC escape key, extreme upper left-hand corner of your keyboard. And by the way, can you just look for a second at your escape key up there in the far corner, upper left? Because if you ever have an issue in Excel and it's not responding and it's not doing what you want, you're in the middle of a formula and weird things are happening, just hit your escape key until things kind of clear out and the dust settles. That'll always just kind of backspace out of whatever you're in and kind of restart you in the cell or whatever you're doing. If you're confusing Excel, escape is a wonderful tool to know how to use. Okay, escape, turn off my Format Painter. There we go. I'm on to page 6. And with my white cross, I'm going to select A3 through G3. Hold down your control key. Select A9 through G13. 2 non-adjacent ranges. Now make sure you select those 2 ranges and starting with A on both of them. Otherwise, you can get some whacked out data here. Insert recommended charts. And I'm going to use clustered column, the first one there. And there it is. Okay. And I want to get this in its own spot. So I'm going to click on Move Chart, New Sheet. I'm going to put this in something called Expenses. Okay. And you know what? I may be jumping the gun here, but right now I'm going to do 2 quick things. I want to left click and hold on Expenses and drag it to the right of 6-month financial project. All right, there we go. Okay, so now it's in place. Double click on my chart, actually triple click on my chart title. First I need to click on it and then triple click. There we go. 6-month projected expenses. I just abbreviated that. And it says it wants us to underline, so triple click. Probably Control U to underline. Ooh, I could even bold it if I wanted to. Ooh, yeah, Control B. A little review from our word days, huh? Apply data labels. Click on the chart to select it. Click on the chart to select it. There we go. Display the chart elements gallery. Let's see here. Chart elements gallery. That's over here. And it's saying we want to put in some data labels. Click on that fly out arrow there. And we're going to say outside in, which means it's going to drop numbers in on the end of our bar chart. Clustered column chart, excuse me, column chart. Bar chart would be sideways. Okay, there we go, outside end. Click on chart elements to close that. Chart filters, that's down here. And what if we decide to eliminate one of our fields, data fields from our chart? And I could say, well, I don't really want to see bonus, and I don't want to see salary. I just want to see these other 3 and isolate them and apply. So I uncheck those, hit apply, and my chart's kind of got a different look and feel, doesn't it? If I want to filter out something from my chart, click on Close Filters to close that. On to number 7. Click on anywhere on the chart area outside the chart to select it. That'd be there. Okay. And again, we're going to go to Chart Elements, Axis Titles, Flyout menu. Primary vertical, that's over here. Triple click on that, and we're going to put in the dollar sign. Bam, dollar sign. You can barely see that. Maybe I blow that up a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. I'm just going to click off somewhere, but I'm going to go back. I may didn't need to do that, but right click. I'm going to say Format Axis Title. And I am in the title options area. And I want to click on Size and Properties over here. And I want to say text direction horizontal. I just flipped the dollar sign so it's upright. Correct? Click close on my task pane. That's a little thing over there on the right. Close my task pane. Very nice. Should be on the Chart Tools Design tab. I have these pre-formatted styles up here. And again, when I run my mouse pointer over one, it shows me what it would be if I were to select it. What's that called again? Live preview. That's correct. I'm going to click on the sixth style, style 6, to apply that. Right click on any value, and I don't think I need to do this because it's asking me. I'll just show you how to format numbers if you want to, but these should already be formatted correctly. I'm going to right click on my values there, format axis. And if I scroll way down to the bottom of that area and click on number, if I want to use a different format than what I did in my data on the 6-month financial projections tab, here is where I could change the look and feel of my text over there in the axis area. In this case, the vertical up and down axis. But there's really nothing for me to do right now. I'm going to close that out. Let's go back to chart elements and data labels. And I went to more options. Wait a second. Hold on here. Let's try that again. Hold on. I didn't do that right. Chart elements, data labels. I did outside in, right? Click the data labels checkbox. There we go. I'm going to uncheck those, get rid of the data labels. This is live, right? Click on chart filters. Let's put bonus and salary back in there and apply. Close that out. Click off somewhere. My chart is back. There we go. There's my chart in all its glory. Okay. Double click on your tab name down there. Call it, we already call it expensive. We're going to double click and we're going to, actually, that's a mistake. Right click, sorry. Tab color, blue, dark blue, text 2. I think that's right here. Dark blue, text 2. And they're asking me to drag it, but I already dragged it to the right. Okay. What else here? To preview the worksheet. You know what I would do here right now? I'd probably get rid of, maybe I want to use cheater data in the future. I've had worksheets in industry before where I had like a doodle sheet where I would do different calculations or backup information or stuff that I didn't really want the user to see, but that I wanted to have for like review and why did I do what I did and what were some of the back calculations I might have used. So I might want to use that again. So I'm going to right click on cheater data and say hide. So it's still part of my worksheet, but now the user can't see it. It's just kind of a thing. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to click on 6-month financial projections, hold down my control key, click on expenses. So both sheet tabs are selected. File print. Print orientation. Instead of instead of portrait, I'm going landscape sideways, like so. Yeah. Under no scaling, I'm going to say fit sheet on 1 page. Here you can see my page 1 report there. All right. And if I scroll through this, there's page 1 on my report. And most reports, by the way, I'd say 90% of them in industry should be able to fit on 1 page. Don't send it to the printer until you've done print preview, especially if you have an expensive laser printer with color ink and all that stuff. And there's my chart right there. And another thing too is you hardly ever print reports anymore. They're just electronically saved, and you email them, or you put them into some common drive, or you push them out to your managers somehow, sometimes through some internal distribution communication thing. There you go. Okay, so we're done with that. I'm going to click my back button up here. We're done pretending to print. Now we've played with zoom a little bit here. Zoom in, zoom out. Don't need to do that too much more. You can also do it on your view area. Zoom up here. It's just how you see things on the screen, right? Splitting panes. I'm going to go to cell E8. E8. I'm going to go to view and split. Now this is where you have like a giant worksheet. You want to be able to see different sections of it. If I go to E8 and hit split, it splits my worksheet into 4 quadrants right at that point. And I can be like scrolling up here in quadrant 1 while the bottom half stays fixed. I can be over here in quadrant 2, tooling around. And it's where you can keep different areas of your worksheet kind of frozen so you can see part of it while working in another area. To turn that off, put your mouse pointer right on the cross where the split is. Double click, and it gets rid of your split. Freezing columns and rows. This is kind of tricky. You have to ask yourself, where do I want to do the freeze at? So in this case, they're saying, I want to freeze, let's see here, B4. I want to freeze up here. I want to freeze everything that's in column A. So if I want to freeze everything, all those labels over there in column A, that means I need to put my freeze location or my cell location 1 column to the right of whatever I want to freeze. So I need to be in column B, the next column over. I also want to freeze the top 3 rows, which includes the names of the months. So in that case, I need to freeze or be in the cell that is 1 cell below the last row that I want to freeze. So if I want to freeze column A, I need to be in column B. If I want to freeze the top 3 rows, I need to be in cell 4. So therefore, I need to be in B4. Click on View, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. And now I can scroll around and see either my headers or my rows off to the left, no matter where I go in my worksheet. And most of the time when you're working with a worksheet, you'll be freezing your panes, especially if it's a giant with a lot of columns and rows. You want to be freezing those. Otherwise, you lose track of where you are and it gets confusing. If you want to turn panes off, click on Freeze Panes and Unfreeze Panes. Okay. Let's see here. And here's just a point where so scroll the worksheet so that row 4 is the first row visible on the worksheet. Click on cell A7. It says to do split here. Okay. And they're saying, let's go down and change some assumptions. Let's change our bonus to, we're going to be generous. We're going to change it to 7,500. We're going to change our salaries to 25%. We're going to add some employees. B25, our miscellaneous, we're going to change to 3.5. We're changing 1, 2, 3 different factors here. Okay. And what am I left with? 3,042,258. So here you can see the immediate impact of changing your metrics or your variables that you built your budget on. You change a couple different variables, and now you can see the immediate impact on your budget for 6 months. Okay. I am going to leave that there. I want to be able to see cell H16. Didn't ask me to back any of that out, right? Correct? Yes. Okay. And I'm going to go down to H16. And I'm going to go to something called data. Whoops. Hold on. Something's goofball here. Oh, I need to weird. Hold on. That's weird. I need to ungroup my worksheets. That was my problem there. Okay. My my worksheets were still grouped. They were still selected expenses and 6-month financial projections. So it wasn't letting me do anything. It was weird. Anyway, H16, data, what if analysis, goal seek. Now, this kind of works on the scientific principle of dependent and independent variables. Dependent is the one that's being acted on. The independent one is the one that you're changing and manipulating to do something to the dependent variable. So you have to ask yourself with goal seek, what value am I trying to force? Or what's my dependent variable? What's the one being acted on? That's the challenge of determining the difference there. Well, H16, according to instructions, it says, we have like $3 million of operating income, and our investment banker said, that's not good enough for the next 6 months. I'm backing you financially, and that's got to be 3.5 million, not 3 million plus change. That has to be a little bit better than that. So you need to change some things in your budget so you meet the goals to satisfy your investors. So in H16, I'm going to say I'm going to change that value to 3,500,000. 3,500,000. That's what it's requiring. And you go back and you go, oh shoot, what variable can I change? What independent variable can I manipulate to change that so it's $3.5 million? Well, I look at my various metrics or variables down below here, and I see that, site rental is something that I can change. So I'm going to click on site rental as my dependent variable, and I'm not going to answer that phone right now because I'm almost done with this demo. And I'm going to click on OK, and it does some quick calculations and determines, there's $3.5 million, and my site rental just dropped from 10%. Now I can only spend 4.1% of my sales revenue on site rental, or like renting like kiosk or something like that, or renting spaces at a mall or something like that. Anyway, okay, so there you go. There's my goal seek. It forced it to 3.5 million. And I'm going to turn off my split there by double clicking. And I'm going to go to cell A6, review insights group, smart lookup. Oh, it's doing lookup on what gross margin is. I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. Display the smart lookup pane containing information about the text in a selected cell. Here we can actually use like the internet to look up terms on your report. Just a random thing, I guess. All right, there we go. There is our demo. We are done. And from here, of course, you should go on to do the practice exam for chapter 3. And now we have sound, don't we? Enjoy your day. Bye.